Hey, comic lovers, EMoney and the old man here with you again. Well, as you can see, we are not out in the garage filming with Thor the Dog of Thunder.
It's hot.
Yeah, well, that and, schedules conflicted this week and we couldn't find a time to sit down and film with Thor.
That Thor, busy.
Yeah.
What a social calendar he's got.
Right? So, no Thor this week, and hopefully he'll be back with us again next week. All right, so what are we doing for this episode? Well, we are talking about a major comic book news story, the biggest comic book news story all month probably, and we're just talking about that for comic book news because it's a pretty big story.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be talking our reviews for comic books for last week, and then we're gonna be doing a preview of what you can expect at this week's pop-up shop, and then we're also going to be doing a recap of our first live auction for Whatnot that happened this past Sunday, and also going to be giving you a preview of what you can expect for this Sunday sale. All right?
We're kind of busy too, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Imagine your company is doing so well that you can take a $90 million bath without batting an eye. And when the project is about 95% done.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to imagine.
No. Well, I mean, it obviously means your company's doing well if you just, just pull the plug without even thinking.
Or you're stupid.
This is Back Issues. All right, comic lovers, before we get started today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, give us a thumbs up, and if you like, leave us a comment. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers. We're about that close to 900. We're looking to get 1,000. So help us get there.
Wait, going from 900 to 1,000 might take forever. We need your all's help. Come on,
Yeah.
step it up.
All right, so you remember a while back, and I did my series of episodes for Back Issues on comic book, movie, and TV projects that almost happened. Well, if I ever decide to do a part 4, I have a new entry for that one. This one got the furthest along in production before someone pulled the plug. More even than the Nicolas Cage Superman movie. The canceled Warner Brothers Batgirl film. Just this past week, they decided they pulled the plug after putting $90 million reportedly into the project.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. All right, so what happened? Well, details are still coming in as of this recording, and, there's going to be a lot of different points of view as to what happened, but, we're going to tell you what we know so far. Okay, so Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav, he reportedly felt it wasn't cinematic enough for theatrical release, but was too expensive for streaming. And to that, I say, how much money did Netflix put into The Gray Man recently?
A boatload.
Yeah. I mean, I think somebody said it was a $200 million film that they released on streaming. So, but, that's Netflix, and, this is Warner Brothers, so each to their own, I guess. All right, so Hollywood insider Matthew Baloney has now shared what he's heard about the test screening on his podcast, The Town, and it sounds like the audience members are at least partially to blame for Zaslav's perception of the movie. They did a single test screening of the film.
I wasn't invited. Were you invited?
No, I mean, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure they have several test screenings before, they come to a conclusion about a film, right?
See, I don't know who they get for those things.
Well, I mean, if you believe what they did on Big Bang Theory, it looked like they just pulled people off the street. Like, hey, you want to see a movie with Will Smith in it? And, you just pull people in. But I don't know if that's how it's actually done.
Well, that's a stupid way of doing it. They need to pull people from movies, people that are coming out of movies that are in the genre that they want to test. Or me and you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll give you a list of a couple hundred people that would love to be there that are qualified.
Yeah.
That know what they're talking about when it comes to, is this movie entertaining? Which, isn't that the whole key to it?
That's the whole point.
Isn't that?
I mean, if it's entertaining, you're going to get our money, which is what it comes down to for them.
Right.
All right, so the screening took place at Warner Brothers, and at this point, they were apparently still trying to figure out what to do with Batgirl. The streaming decision was not set in stone at that point, but that's where it looked like it was headed. So the people doing the test screening, they asked the audience, did this feel big? Clearly trying to figure out whether to give it a theatrical release or to put it on streaming. And some sources said the audience told them it played like a TV pilot. Yeah. And the stakes were very small. Now, I don't know. I don't know how you can have, Michael Keaton and J.K. Simmons in the project, and you're telling me it feels like a TV pilot.
I mean, was enough of it finished that it looked like a completed film, or was there still some raw edges that made people think it wasn't really done?
Yeah, fair question. I thought it was mostly done, but they still had some work to do on it, so I don't know how they did a test screening. Another audience member said it felt a little like Dark Phoenix. Now, a lot of people, they give, Dark Phoenix a hard time, but, it did get a theatrical release.
It was not a great movie, but it was okay.
I mean, side note, I feel like Dark Phoenix was a victim of bad timing.
Sure.
Everyone knew that the Fox X-Men series was coming to a close, so they didn't want to invest money into going to the theater and seeing it. So I think it would have done much better if everyone knew that the X-Men series was still going strong.
True.
Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. All right, so directors Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah, sorry if I mispronounced the names.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah. They've had some ups and downs in their careers. They got a lot of hits for Bad Boys for Life. That was, mostly negative reviews, but, it's up and down. But their Miss Marvel premiere episode, and they did a couple episodes of Miss Marvel, that got unanimously praised by most critics and viewers.
I thought that was a top-notch show. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. So it's hard to know, where Batgirl went off the rails, though it's possible that the budgetary restrictions left them with only so much they could do with Batgirl.
$90 million?
Yeah, I mean, that's a relatively small budget for a superhero movie nowadays. So, Batgirl's sole test screening scored similar, it says, to Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So it prompted the studio to ask, why they couldn't recoup their losses with a theatrical release. And, if Shazam! Fury of the Gods, if it gets negative reviews, it calls into question, like, why does this get a theatrical release and then Batgirl gets canceled?
I can answer that. Dwayne Johnson.
Well, I'm talking about Shazam. With
Shazam?
Yeah, with Zachary Levi.
Okay.
Yeah. But, Black Adam, similar situation where, if it gets any negative reviews, why does this go forward and this doesn't?
I can answer that. I just did.
Dwayne Johnson.
The Rock ain't playing that. They're not going to cancel his movie.
So, Michael Keaton and J.K. Simmons wasn't enough to save the project, apparently.
I mean, I was one of the guys who was slamming Michael Keaton for being the first Batman. But didn't really care for the choice. Turned out, he's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. But, I mean, I would probably put him in my top 3. I have not visited the my grading since Robert Pattinson did it, so I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
He's not in my top 3.
Robert Pattinson is not in your top 3?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he couldn't do Bruce Wayne.
I mean, that could be just bad direction, because
that's all I got to go on is what I saw.
Right.
I mean, he was a solid Batman, but Batman's 2 guys, and if you can't play Bruce Wayne, I mean, he was always on as Batman. Even when he was supposed to be Bruce Wayne, he was still Batman. So that kind of keeps him out of the top 3 for me.
A lot of people are saying that that the reason for the cancellation was due to you have a woman in the lead role and also a woman of color in the lead role, and that led to a lot of political backlash.
I'm sure there was politics involved.
Yeah,
there always is.
So a lot of stuff going on here. Head of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, he reached out to the directors about Batgirl's cancellation, and he said in an email, My friends, I had to reach out and let you know that we are all thinking about you both because of the wonderful news about the wedding. I guess one of them is getting married soon. And the disappointing news about Batgirl. Very proud of you guys for all the amazing work you do, and particularly Miss Marvel, of course. Can't wait to see what is next for you. Hope to see you soon.
Good.
Yeah. So, it sounds like they're going to be welcome back at Marvel. So these guys aren't hung out to dry from Warner Brothers exactly. But there's a lot of and what's trending on social media right now. Release Batgirl. Just like release the Snyder Cut was a few years ago.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, but like we said, the Snyder Cut was complete. It was in the can. They knew they had it, and it took them years and years to release it. The problem is Batgirl complete? That's the question. I thought it was like maybe 90% complete, and they still had a little more work to do. But which is why I kind of called the test screenings into question here. But so is it complete enough that they could actually give you a movie anyways? Is it going to end up as one of those bootleg movies that we find at conventions in the near future?
We have seen a few bootleg movies.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of bootleg stuff from conventions over the years. The 94 Fantastic Four movie, the unreleased Wonder Woman pilot. I saw the last convention I went to, you can get Star Trek Continues on Blu-ray from a bootlegger if you want to. So yeah, a lot of stuff. Is this going to make it, or is someone just going to, burn the footage or lock it in a safe somewhere? No telling. All right, so let us know what you guys think of the Batgirl cancellation. Was it a mistake by Warner Brothers? And, do you think we'll see any version of it in the future? Also, take a look at this picture here. This is a picture, possibly the only picture we're going to get of Michael Keaton back in the Batman suit, and him and Batgirl having a confrontation together. I'm not really sure who the guy in the middle is.
Who's that guy?
Yeah. He looks kind of, I don't know, like, Tim Burton-y a little bit. But, this might be the only time we see Michael Keaton back in the suit. And also, another thing that bothers a lot of people is, people put their heart and soul into making this Batgirl movie, but they cancel that and they're pushing forward with the Ezra Miller Flash movie, despite all the controversy going on with Ezra right now.
Well, Ezra's an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, every time I see him in the headlines, it just gets worse and worse. And so far, Warner Brothers says they're still moving forward with the Flash film.
I mean, you get to play an iconic character. Just keep your pants on.
Yeah.
Don't do anything stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gold.
Yep.
But no, you get to play an iconic character, and you're a jackass.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man.
Yep.
Get your head on right.
All right, so let us know what you think about this story, guys. Leave it in the comment section. All right, so that does it for entertainment news, because it was a big story. Now, let's go on to our comic book reviews for this week. All right, so if you've never seen us grade comics before, we grade these on a 5-shield rating system. We give them each 2 scores, one for writing and story, and then the other one for artwork. And then we combine the 4 scores together to give it an average overall score. All right, so first up are mentions this week. And I think it's mostly good stuff. We sometimes have something negative to say about them. Sometimes I might want to rant about a comic book, but I think we're good this week.
Well, if you have bad things to say about the second, we might come to blows. All right, the first one you want to talk about is Ghost Rider #5 from Marvel Comics.
All right, so this story was kind of interesting. So Ghost Rider is about to take part in a race. It's the Hell's Backbone Rally is what it's called. And, creatures and people and, questionable types from all over are looking to take part in this race. And what is the prize for this race? Well, it is you get to hold counsel with the devil is what happens. So in this race, the mountain range that it goes through, it is a place where the veil between the living and the dead is very thin. So a lot of stuff can happen in this race. So People who are taking part in the race, some sorted characters here. You have Blade, Dracula, Rhino, Man-Thing, Doctor Doom, of all people.
I mean, can Man-Thing ride a motorcycle?
He can ride some kind of cycle. I didn't know Doctor Doom rode. Then you have Logan, Moon Knight, and Elektra.
That's a mix.
Mixed bag?
That's definitely a motley crew there.
Yeah. And, Johnny, he theorizes why some people are racing. Maybe Moon Knight is just looking to win the race so other people can't get the prize. And different things like that. So the race starts, and as soon as the race starts, people are, hitting each other and blasting and whatever it is they got, trying to knock people off the road. Like, what it reminded me of? You ever see those old Hanna-Barbera cartoons where all the different characters are racing each other and all the bad guys are trying to set traps for them to knock them off the road or out of the race or something? So it's kind of like that. Or more serious, Death Race 2000 with Sylvester Stallone. You ever see that one?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you go back probably before those cartoons you watched, there was a pair of movies. One came out in 1965 called Those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines.
Okay.
And it was followed up by Those Daunty Gentlemen and Their Jalopies.
Flying jalopies, something like that?
They weren't flying, they were cars.
Okay.
But anyway, there was one with airplanes and flying vehicles, and there was one that was kind of like a cannonball run.
Okay.
And the antics in that was just right out of the cartoons.
Right. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of like that. Like you have to worry about the other racers, and also I told you the veil is thin, so other things might be looking to get you in this race.
It also reminded me of the race in Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. All right. So in the race, Johnny, he teams up with an unlikely ally, and the two of them team up to try to win the race, or to just make sure nobody else wins the race. And the race is not over by the end by the end of this issue. So Ghost Rider number 5 ends up with our mention this week at.
We rounded it up to 3.5 shields.
3.5 shields out of 5. All right, next up.
All right, one of my favorite movies as a young lad was a fantasy movie called Hawk the Slayer. Was it a good movie? Oh, hell no. It was a terrible movie. The soundtrack overwhelmed the beginning of the movie. Special effects were ludicrous. There was only one actor in there that I'd ever heard of, and that was Jack Palance, who played the bad guy.
Well, I mean, back when you saw, that may have been the case, but wasn't the guy who played Hawk, isn't that...
He might have had a couple of roles, but
wasn't he the dad in Seventh Heaven?
No.
No? No, different guy. Okay,
definitely not.
Okay.
But at any rate, it was a one-shot movie. It wasn't part of a franchise, or there was no sequel.
Although, I mean, I just want to say, the movie, they talk about, the dark times or the battle before, and then they talk, and then in the end of the movie, you see the bad guy who's supposedly dead being carried off by some, dark, demon sorcerer type creature, and it says, "Your time is not finished yet." So it kind of felt like it was a part 2 to a trilogy. We just never saw part 1 or part 3.
I always feel like it was part 1 of something. But
Okay.
At any rate, so Rebellion Comics decided to do a 5-issue limited series. Now it shipped kind of wonky. Number 2 came out without number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to just kind of set number 2 aside and wait for number 1, which came out this last week. Now we've read them both.
Okay.
Hawk the Slayer, number 1.
All right. So the first few pages, they pretty much just recap what happened in the movie. And basically what happened was Hawk and Voltan was his name, played by Jack Palance in the movie.
His evil brother.
Yeah. All right. So they were like, noble brothers. They had a like a lord father, or maybe he was a king, something like that. And, Hawk was the second born, but the father decided that he was going to inherit his magic sword. And, if you know how, politics in, medieval times or in most fantasy settings go, usually it's the firstborn that gets everything.
Right.
So, he wasn't happy about that. But also, Hawk was courting a young woman who he was, planning to marry, who Voltan fancied and thought that, she should love him. So, Voltan, he becomes a pretty right bastard. I don't know if, being screwed over is what made him the bastard, or being the bastard is what caused him to get screwed over.
I think he was just evil.
Okay.
Daddy knew that.
All right, so in the movie, Voltan's forces are, running amok and, terrorizing the countryside. And so Hawk enlists the help of some heroes to help him out. First, you had, let's see if I can find it here. All right, so you had Ranulph. Ranulph was a human guy. He was a pretty badass dude, and he had this really cool crossbow that he used.
It was a repeating crossbow.
Yeah, it was like a machine gun crossbow, pretty much.
Yep.
Then you had Gort, Gort the Giant. And I liked him. He was, big giant guy, and he carried a warhammer with him, and he really had some cool armor too. Then you had, I'm about to make a point here. Gort, he had a warhammer. Giant with a warhammer. That makes sense, right? Then you had Crow, the elf. Crow was a bowman.
He was the last of his type of elves.
Yeah. So Crow the elf, archer. Okay.
Of course.
Elf with an archer. Makes perfect sense. In fact, the only really famous, well-known fantasy elf I can think of who wasn't a archer as his primary weapon was Drizzt Do'Urden.
Technically not an elf.
Dark elf, but still an elf. Then, finally, you had Bolden, the dwarf from the Iron Hills. And, when you think of a dwarf, what kind of weapon do you think a dwarf carries?
Hammer and axe.
You got hammer, battle axe, maybe a broadsword. Bolden carries a whip. A dwarf who uses a whip. Okay.
I don't want to get hit by a whip.
No, but also, do you want to, even if you were an expert whip user, do you want to carry a whip into a battle?
Oh, no.
No. You get one, maybe two good cracks, and then, someone's you get it caught on something, or it's gonna get yanked away from you. It's not a good weapon to have in a battle, in my opinion.
Don't fixate on the whip, all right?
I know.
Move on.
All right, so this new group of zealots, it seems, are wreaking havoc across the countryside, and
they're gross.
Yeah, and Hawk believes that Voltan might not be dead. And Gort keeps insisting that he is dead, but, Hawk's not buying it. So, Gort and Hawk, you saw at the end of the movie, they were going off by themselves to seek some adventure, and all these reports of unrest in the north, maybe. Meanwhile, Crow was left with the holy women to recover from his wounds. So, they left Crow there, and, this picks up pretty much exactly where the movie left off, like 40 years ago, right? So
it's been a while.
Yeah. So first two issues, pretty great stuff. Great fantasy action here. It is headed by Garth Ennis, and Garth Ennis, no small name in the comic industry. Although I didn't really care for the last Batman project he was a part of, but
We'll all be winners.
Yeah. All right, so Hawk the Slayer, we have part 1 and 2 available.
And they scored the same.
In a 5-part miniseries. And it scores
3.5 after we rounded them up.
3.5 rounded up. Okay, so that is our mentions for this week. Now on to our top 4. Yeah. Top 4
it's
because...
not our top 3 because guess what? There were some ties.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting kind of... I think we mentioned before, we're getting kind of stuck on what competitions EMoney and I can have to break ties. So he pulls out the Jarek. I didn't even know what he's talking about. And then he reminded me that in episode 4, A New Hope, in Star Wars, there was a holographic game where it was a combat game, kind of a combination of chess and combat. Well, I didn't know what the rules were, I didn't know how the controls worked, and I don't have the greatest eye-hand coordination anyway, so I'm saying he cheated. But he did win, there's no doubt about that, he won. So if you don't like the order of these 4 books, put in the comments, tell him he cheated. Any rate, number 4. And by the way, all 4 of these top 4 books are from DC Comics.
Yeah.
So, DC versus Vampires, number 8 of 12 is number 4.
All right. So we are about 2/3 of the way through this series, and the vampires have pretty much taken over.
Yeah, they won.
Yeah. So there's only a few pockets of resistance left, and Constantine brings a few people to the House of Mystery, and
Not to be confused with the
House of Secrets. And that's where a few people are left hanging out, and a bunch of magic users are trying to figure out how to reverse the effects of vampirism, and they're not having much luck. So that's going on. Also, and they are visited by a couple of other unsavory magic users, and we're kind of left hanging on that story. Meanwhile, Supergirl is trying to regain her power. She's lost her power somehow.
She's like the last hope kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. You know, she's probably one of the few remaining heavy hitters who hasn't been turned yet. Also, somehow, Harley Quinn might also be another answer to vampirism.
Go figure.
Yeah. So, a couple of unsavory people who, fancy themselves doctors are experimenting on her. And so Batgirl isn't having that and decides to bust her out. So you have a couple different remaining factions, Supergirl's team, Batgirl's team, and Constantine's magic users, all trying from different angles to win the war against the vampires. And still not sure how that's going to play out. So DC versus Vampires, number 8 of 12. Our number 4 pick for this week comes in at
3.5 shields.
3.5. Next up,
we have Batman number 126. This is Chip Zdarsky's second issue of his run on Batman. You got a top-notch writer. I just wish they'd give him a better artist.
Well, I didn't totally hate the artist. I thought he was
hating, but
I mean, if I could give a 3.5 score for artwork, I would have given it 3.5. But as such, I gave it 3.
Me too.
All right, so Batman is investigating the fallout from the death of Cobblepop, the Penguin. And there's this power vacuum in Gotham now because everyone is looking to pounce and take over now that Penguin's dead, allegedly. And in the middle of his investigation, he gets attacked by this robot creature. And the robot kind of resembles him in a lot of ways. And so he gets attacked in his own headquarters, and this robot thing ain't playing around.
Nope. He's
so
the real deal.
Mm-hmm. So the entire Bat family kind of pounces on this robot to try and stop him, but he's not interested in them. They're just in his way. He just wants Batman for some reason. So all that's going on, and meanwhile, also Robin recovers from a gunshot wound in the last issue, and you know how it is with superheroes and other characters in TV shows, movies, and comic books. They get shot in the face, they get shot in the neck, chest, whatever. They shake it off.
Yeah.
A couple weeks in bed. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I got shot in the neck, but I'm good.
I'm getting better.
Mm-hmm. Well, at the end of the issue, Batman, goes to one of his abandoned caves, and he pulls out an old suit. And I don't know what this is supposed to be, because the way they presented it at the end of the issue, they made it seem like it was this big revelation. I'm not familiar with it. It looks like something out of the Silver Age of comics.
Well, look at the emblem. Got that huge bat.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe they'll explain it better in the next issue. All right, so Batman 126, our number 3 pick for this week.
Also came in at 3.5 shields.
3.5 out of 5.
All right, number 2, Dark Crisis, number 3 out of 7.
All right, so a lot going on in this issue. All right, so the Justice League, the core members, most of them are pretty much dead, or they're supposedly dead. They were killed by, what's his name? Pariah? Is that his name?
I don't remember.
No, Parallax. That's his name, Parallax. Killed by them. Black Adam was the sole survivor of the attack, and he is trying to tell the next generation of heroes that it's time for them to step up, and also to adopt a new philosophy when it comes to dealing with villains.
Oh, he definitely wants them to put on their big boy pants.
Yeah, and he thinks that the League's inability to finish things and do what needs to be done is part of the reason they're dead.
Yeah, well, okay. You defeat a villain and he can come back at you. That's not good strategy.
So, the League, the new League members, they step up to Adam and tell him to back off, and he gets frustrated and leaves. Meanwhile, the League was the premier generation of heroes, and this new League is supposed to be the next generation. Well, they are visited by the previous generation of heroes who ask them if they need a helping hand.
They do.
Yeah. So, we'll see how well they do teaming up with these guys. Also, another thing that's happening is Deathstroke is encouraging every C and D list villain to rise up and take their shot. And, that's why the new heroes are so overwhelmed with everything happening around the world. Meanwhile, the Green Lantern Corps is investigating, trying to find out exactly what happened to the Justice League, and also to stop Parallax if he is on the move again. And then finally, Black Adam.
They don't need no finally.
Okay. Well,
Black Adam isn't done.
Yeah, Black Adam, he is seeking help from an unreliable source, and it will not end well for him, I don't think. So, Dark Crisis, number 3 of 7, our number 2 pick for this week.
Comes in at 4 shields.
4 shields out of 5.
All right, number 1. And with me and you involved, the odds are it was a Bat book, and it is. It's Batman Killing Time, number 6 out of, I believe, 6.
All right. Batman Killing Time, and we see who the mastermind behind the whole scheme in this issue is, and who's been narrating the story the whole time, too. And with a story like Killing Time, you should have guessed it, it is none other than the Clock King. And he has been the mastermind who has been moving Catwoman and Riddler to obtain this lost artifact. Also, he's responsible for the massacre at Gotham City Park, because he's the one who moved all these pieces in place.
That was a real slobber knocker.
Yep. Villains from just about every gang and villain in Gotham attacked each other in Gotham Park,
and the police.
And the police as well, FBI. So, Batman, he takes out the police helicopter and is able to take the 2 FBI agents out of the helicopter before it crashes, and he glides down to the ground. Also, at the same time, he drops grenade pellets or gas pellets at the opportune moment so that he covers most of the park and is able to knock out most of the remaining combatants.
He was packing a serious load of those pellets.
Mm-hmm. And, he goes from person to person. He's able to save a few, but not many. So, also during this time, Catwoman engages with the Help. Now, honestly, Catwoman, she fared much better than I thought she would against the Help. Because if you've been reading, you remember from previous issues, the Help actually bested Batman one-on-one. And at the beginning of the fight, he's like breaking down her strategy and her style just like he did with Batman. But then he realizes that, a lot, while she is trained and, she's very good at what she does, a lot of it defies classification. A lot of what...
Instinctual.
Yeah. A lot of what Catwoman does is just savagery. So, there's that. And then we also see what happens to the crazy FBI lady by the end of the issue. So, a lot of moving parts in this issue, and I hope they follow up because, I told you I want to see more of the Help. He was a really interesting villain, and, Batman learns a little bit about his origins in this issue, and there's probably a lot more to tell. So, Batman Killing Time, number 6, our number 1 spot for this week with 4 shields out of 5. All right, so that is last week's issues. Get them at your local comic book shop now. What do we have coming up this week?
All right. Not a huge week, but some good stuff. And this week flip-flopped. There's more Marvel than DC.
Okay.
In fact, there's only one DC book on our list. But Punisher number 5 comes out, and it looks like that's going to be a critical part of this story arc with the new Punisher. Predator number 1. Marvel has the rights to Aliens and Predators.
That's another big thing that people have been talking about with the new Prey movie coming out. A lot of people are saying it's the best Predator movie ever.
I enjoyed it.
Even more than the first movie. And they're also asking, why the hell didn't this get a theatrical release? Why did you put it out on Hulu?
Could very well have.
Yeah.
All right, and also coming up, we've got 8 Billion Genies.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Yeah, that's been the subject of a lot of conversation with comic book readers, and eager to see the next issue. So
I want to see it on the silver screen.
That too. All right, so there's our previews. Like I said, get them at your local comic book shop now. All right, so that is our reviews for this week. Now, on to what you can expect at this week's pop-up shop. All right, so our pop-up comic shop is coming this Saturday, and it's going to be August the 13th, and it is from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., 7002 Brookbend Way, Louisville, Kentucky. And we're going to have all kinds of cool stuff for you. We have comic books starting at $1, and we have a lot of great key issues for you, and we're going to have toys, action figures, a couple board games, and DVDs and Blu-rays. So come join us now for a little preview of what you can expect. So in honor of the Batgirl film cancellation, I thought I'd pull a couple of Bat key issues out to show you guys.
In honor of that?
I guess in spite of it? I don't know.
Whatever, go ahead.
But I had Bat on the brain, so I thought I'd pull a few comics for you. All right, so first up, these are all more recent key issues, but we do have a few older detective comics as well. All right, so first up we have Batman number 96. This is from the Joker War series, and it is first appearance of Clown Hunter. Clown Hunter I get a kick out of because he doesn't give a crap about anything else. He just wants to kill or beat up, kill anyone who follows the Joker, and if given the opportunity, kill the Joker himself. Next up, we have, this is from the City of Bane story, it predates the Joker War. This is Batman number 77, and it is The Death of Alfred. So, pretty big issue there. And they have not brought him back yet. I mean, he's in a couple of, Black Label series, but in the mainstream comics, he remains dead at this point. So, don't know if they're ever going to bring him back.
I don't know if I want Bruce to get Alfred back or his money back,
Yeah. All right. So, next up, we have Batman number 89. And this is CGC graded 9.2. And it is the first appearance of Punchline in Cameo. You actually don't see her face in this issue, but she is kind of teased in it. So, she's proven to be a fairly big villain. She hasn't broken out quite as big as Harley Quinn has, but second acts never do. So, but Punchline, still pretty popular character. So her first cameo appearance right here. All right, so that is our comic books preview. Now to give you guys a couple of toy previews for this week's sale. All right, so first up, we have something from DC Direct, if I can get it. All right, this big Mamba Jamba here. If you're a fan of Mad Magazine, we have Alfred E. Newman, and it is the fully posable holiday action figure. And it also includes a 32-page Mad Magazine with it. So, nice little stocking stuffer for you for Christmas this year. Next up, and our video game toy inventory continues to grow. And we got this one just this past week. Another one from Marvel vs. Capcom. This is Spider-Man vs. Strider. And I noticed on the back of the box here of this whole Marvel vs. Capcom collection, we have 3 out of 4 of them that you can get this Saturday. We have Spider-Man vs. Strider. We have Venom vs. Captain Commando. War Machine versus Mega Man. And the only one we don't have yet is Captain America versus Morgan. I don't know, maybe that will be coming in a future inventory buy that we get. So if you want to collect most of them for your collection, you can get them at the shop this Saturday. All right, and then finally, I told you what a shame it was that we're not going to get to see Michael Keaton return as Batman in Batgirl. Well, if you want, you can get nostalgic and revisit him in the original Batman with this figure here. It is the Shadow Wing Batman figure, and it is from 1990, right after the first movie came out.
Huh.
Yeah. So you can get it at this week's sale. And we're going to have, all kinds of different horror movie icon action figures and stuff from other movies. And we're going to have Marvel Legends and different things like that. And, a lot of fun stuff for you guys. All right. So that is our sale for Saturday. Now, to tell you guys a little bit about our sale on Sunday. All right, so this past Sunday, the old man and I, we had our first live auction on Whatnot. It is a app where you stream your auction live, and you put up, as many items as you want for sale, and you have really short auctions. It's like it could be 15 seconds, it could be a minute. Most of ours were a minute.
Yeah.
And we like to give everyone a chance to put their bids in. And we had an all Marvel sale, mostly Marvel Legends, a few other things, and it went really well.
We sold everything.
Sold everything. And so we're doing it again. We're doing it again this Sunday, and we're changing up the theme a little bit. We did all Marvel, and we're going to do a mostly DC stuff this Sunday. We're going to have stuff from DC Direct. We're going to have stuff from Batman the Animated Series, and we're also going to be fulfilling a couple of requests from our last stream. Some people were asking about specific Marvel Legends, and we're going to pull those out of the inventory, and we're going to have a few other, some people were asking about pro wrestling items, and I told them we had a few in our inventory, so we're going to pull those and see what happens. So if you want in on it, and get some great deals on some classic action figures and other toys, come to our sale and download the Whatnot app, and I will post a preview of it probably Wednesday or Thursday, and you can check out everything that I have listed for sale on ours, and also you can check out other people's sales if you want. It can be comic books, toys, action figures, both mint in box and loose from other streamers. They have die-cast stuff. If you're into sports cards, you can get those as well. And I think even clothing if you want. So, whatever your heart's desire is, you can probably find it on Whatnot. All right, so download and EMoney and the Old Man, no spaces, if you want to follow us on that. All right, so that's gonna do it for this week's episode, and like I said, Thor should be back with us next week. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one. Excelsior.
Two believers, but what not? Exciting.
Mm-hmm.